Hello everyone, it's Kireth here and welcome to another real world video. I'm out in the real world. Sim racers don't really do this, but I know the real world exists, you know the real world exists, so we should not be afraid of the real world, I think. And it's time for my favourite part of the day, where I go out into the real world and I answer your sim racing questions that you've asked me in the Discord. So let's kick this off. So this weeb sucks at driving. Not sure you do suck at driving, but I don't know. How to be less nervous for a race? How to be less nervous for a race? That's a really good question. And that is a really interesting question. So I'll let you know about real world racing when I do my karting. So when I do my karting, you have a moment of calm before the race when everyone's in the karts. You've got about 35, 40 karts on the grid. The engines are off. You're waiting for the green flag, whatever, to turn your engines off and turn your engines on and do the formation lap. And that gives you a moment to be calm and be relaxed. And actually, I think that's partly why maybe real world racing is a little bit calmer than sim racing a lot of time, I don't know. With sim racing, you can jump in, you see your lobby gridding up, you kind of get amped up, you go into your pre-race, you do your practice lap, and then within about 10 seconds you're off the grid and racing. It doesn't give you a lot of time to actually kind of get into a zone. So how to be less nervous at racing, how to be less nervous at sim racing? I would say try and get yourself into that zone. Try and visualise especially what you want to happen at the first corner on the first lap. First corner is really key because a lot of the times if you end up on the outside of the first corner, you can just get completely washed off the track. So try and visualise how you want to be on the inside. Does the outside of one corner turn into the inside of the next? We're taking that gamble to kind of get yourself that track position later on in the lap. That kind of stuff. So yeah, take a moment to visualise yourself. But in terms of nerves, what is making you nervous? Do you have an expectation on yourself that you should be finishing a certain position or getting a certain amount of DR in GT Sport or iRacing? Because maybe take that pressure off yourself. Sim racing really is a personal journey more than anything. Actually, it's your improvement of your driving. So in every race, doesn't matter where you finish, there's always an opportunity to improve. So I wouldn't be nervous about sim racing, but try and identify what's making you nervous and give yourself some more time before a race to kind of get yourself into the zone. Would be my suggestion. KRT Loopy, thoughts on using the racing line on iRacing? Well, it's one of these kind of elitist things, isn't it? The racing line. I would say if you don't know a track, 100% put the racing line on. It seems silly not to do it. Now, obviously, if when you start to know the track, you want to build your braking references from points, marks on the tarmac or stuff on the side of the road. That's what you want to do. Bear with me. Sorry, there was a deer. I got distracted. IRL distractions. But yeah, so once you start to learn the circuit, you do want to build your braking references for every corner off the track furniture, stuff like that. That's very, very, very important. And I think, just kind of expanding the question, for me as a sim racer, when I really started to notice I was getting a lot better and getting better results, was when I just understood that for every track I needed to know every brake marker. There's no shortcut way around it, and there are some tracks where I don't have a particularly good brake marker. So I think is it like turn 5 at Catalonia is one, and is it turn 2 at the Nürburgring, the left-hander? I don't really have brake markers in, but they stand out now because they're the very few corners that I don't have brake markers for. So the racing line is really good to kind of identify roughly where the track goes and where roughly you should be braking. But yeah, there is a point I think where you should be turning it off, but definitely when you go to a new track, I would have it on. In fact, I do have it on when I go to a new track, if that helps. Right, let's go to another question. Bear with me second chat. We'll probably edit this out, won't we? Ryan Gravenbert, how to calm yourself down and avoid red mist when you get treated unfairly. I think that's just part of life, isn't it? Again, it comes down to that point where sim racing is a personal journey. So, if you get treated unfairly, I don't know what you mean really, like what stewards coming after you, or you get a penalty in GT Sport. Ultimately, even if it means you're not going to get the best result in that race, the race is still an opportunity for you to kind of get better and nail your corners and feel good about your driving. I do 4-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour races on iRacing where you can kind of ruin your race in the first corner of 24 hours, but ultimately the rest of the race is still an opportunity to have fun, it's an opportunity to improve your driving. So I say just kind of think of the bigger picture, probably would be my answer to that one. Hope you're enjoying the video today. Do feel free to drop a like, subscribe, or even smash that notification bell if you want to. Don't need to, it's up to you. Let's get some more questions. Callum McIntyre, trail braking on iRacing versus GT Sport. Very good question. Very good question. iRacing has a much better, I think, tyre model is probably what it is than GT Sport, where you can get, you can feel the slip going on with different wheels. GT Sport is very rare for me to kind of get that slip going, that slip, a mythical slip angle. There are a few cars where I really feel hooked up with and I can make it work. For example, the Aston Martin Vantage Group 3 is a great car for getting that slip angle. But in iRacing, trail braking and kind of getting the car to rotate a little bit more than if you're just using max traction, if that makes sense, is actually a lot easier to do. And you can learn it, I think the best way to learn it is in the MX-5, which is a free car in iRacing. But the art of trail braking, I think maybe that deserves a separate video where I have a look, because you might have seen a few times on stream, I will go, oh yeah, that was really nice trail braking today, I really enjoyed that trail braking. And I think we can go back and have a look at the inputs. What Callum means by trail braking is, rather than going in, so your tyres only have, let's say 100% grip they can give. There's a limit to how much grip your tyres have at any one moment. And to stop the car, the optimal way to stop the car is to brake in a straight line, have no turning input, and maximise the grip into stopping the car in a straight line. However, you never really want to stop in a straight line. You always want to go around the corners. You always want to have some rotation. So trail braking is where you sacrifice some of that kind of straight line stopping ability for some rotation, and you do that by bleeding off the brake and applying rotation on the wheel. You can kind of imagine if there's a string connected between your pedals and the steering wheel, so the amount you bleed off the brakes is the amount that you can turn in. Very, very satisfying to do, very, very intuitive, so not that easy to teach, but if you I think it's something that a lot of people do anyway, even if you don't realise it. No one just really brakes in a straight line, gets off the brake, gets on the power, goes around the corner. So yeah, iRacing is a lot easier to do trail braking, so if you want to learn how to do trail braking, then why not pick up a cheap subscription to iRacing for about $5 for 3 months and have some fun in the MX-5. Right, let's answer another question. I'm getting lost in this word. I'm a bit concerned about how lost I am. But we'll continue with the video. Okay, question here from Mumu. I really struggle with nailing braking points especially. Sometimes I feel it changes from lap to lap. Good question. Braking points, if you've got anything dynamic going on with the sim, so dynamic tyre wear or dynamic time of day, dynamic fuel, stuff like that, then your braking points will change slightly every lap. But the other thing is that no one really, I think, unless you're an F1 driver, is able to nail the same braking point to, I say, I don't know, 30 centimetres a foot. Lap after lap, there's always a difference between the point at which you identify as your braking marker and your actual ability to execute it and kind of actually go on the brakes at that moment. In fact, let me know in the comments how, if you went round, let's say you did a track like Monza, turn 1, which is a pretty simple braking point, if you went round 10 laps, what do you think the spread of the times you actually went on the brake for turn 1 would be? Do you think it would be 30 centimetres, 1 metre, 2 metres? Let's just say you're in a GT3 car. I'd hope I could brake within about a metre. Is that too ambitious? Let me know. I don't really have an idea, but my point is that no one is super exact when it comes to braking points. So A, they may be changing every lap anyway. Let's get out of the rain here. And B, our execution is not going to be perfect, and that's just part and parcel. So you have a moment of realisation where you realise, oh, hang on, I've got on the brakes a little bit late here, so I need to trail brake less. I need to actually just go a little bit deeper into the corner to make sure I get stopped. Or sometimes I brake a little bit early, and I have to kind of bleed off the brakes or pump the brakes a few times. I do it a lot on overtaking. You may see in my streams where I go for an overtake, and sometimes I realise that I'm not going to be late enough on the brakes. I brake too early, and you'll see me pump the brakes a little bit just to kind of get ahead of the car that I'm trying to overtake, and obviously still hopefully make the corner. It's a very good question. Right, it's raining quite heavily now and I'm lost, so I think we'll end those tips there. Thank you so much for sending in your tips on the Discord. If you have any more questions for me, just ping them in the comments or ping them in Discord. I'll do my best to answer them. If you get any more video suggestion ideas IRL, let me know. I'm always up for trying IRL content. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.